thank you for being willing to come on over to a separate room. I thought we were going to have a couple more legislators here, but it's nice to be able to spread out, and we're setting a good example for the rest of the employees in the county. I want to start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since it's the first meeting of the year, I'm really happy to see a couple extra legislators that didn't have to come today, so it shows it's good form to come in and get to learn a little bit about each committee. So what I'd like to do, though, is go around the room and just do introductions so that you are meeting some of our staff here that are here for the first time. So if you would, why don't we start with you, Stacy, and we'll go back across this side of the room.
Hi, Stacy Alford. I smile a lot, although it's covered now. And I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Social Services.
I'm Zach Gulick with Parks and Recreation with the Youth Bureau.
Brian Ketley, Youth Bureau, Parks and Executive Director. Go ahead, Frank.
Frank Lombardo, Legislator, District 7.
Hi, Noelle Solomon, legislator, brand new, District 21.
Mike Solway, legislator, District 23, new.
Hey, Matt, let's not skip you. You're
Okay.
new as well.
I've read some here with the Tourism and Public Information Department.
Formerly writing about us.
Correct. Yeah.
Now writing for us.
Yes, yes.
I like that, by the way. Congratulations. I'm happy about that hire. If our guests in the back want to introduce yourselves as well.
Hello, my name is Greg Castor. I'm a reporter with the Palladium Times, formerly what Matt used to do. It's nice to meet you all.
Hi, I'm Isabella. I'm interning with the Palladium Times right now.
Okay. Mike?
Mike Jordan, Legislative District 1. Herb Yurton, Legislative District 2.
Sarah Sunday, Director of the Office for the Aging.
Marty Balpak, I'm the Deputy Commissioner at Social Services.
Rich Mitchell, County Attorney.
I think all of our legislators know Chanel because she's helping out so much.
Yes.
And Phil Church, our county administrator. I'm Maria, chair of the committee again. I think this will be my 5th year at this. And with that, I'll look for an approval of minutes for our, all the way back to our November 29th meeting. We got a motion from Herb. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any changes to the minutes? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. First resolution of the day is a resolution authorizing a reclassification of seasonal heat CSW to social welfare examiner 1 position in the Department of Social Services. Stacy, you want to?
Sure. So this is 100% federal money. We've been having a hard time recruiting temporary heat workers. It's just during the heating season we need these workers. The volume is pretty incredible. And the state mandates that we have a certain percentage of cases not approved by a social welfare examiner go through the supervisory process for quality assurance. This particular gal who's been coming back to do seasonal heat for us was actually the director of financial assistance, came up all through the ranks. So she's actually qualified to just go ahead and sign off on these cases. And so we're asking for that temporary position to have an upgrade just for this year.
I'll look for a motion to discuss. Herb, I'm going to be leaning on you two over here, unless Frank wants to stick his neck out in the first meeting. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
So is there there's additional federal monies now that are coming into heat too? So I know overwhelmed with requests right now, having a difficult time keeping up.
We are absolutely having a difficult time keeping up, yes.
Does anybody else have any questions about this resolution? or about HEAP in general? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Other legislators I talked about have supported it as well. HS2 is a resolution approving amendments to the Oswego City County Youth Bureau bylaws and authorizing the chairman to execute that agreement. Look for a motion on this one.
I make a motion.
Second, third. Brian, you want to address the changes that you made, or?
Yep, so every 5 years we address the bylaws for the Youth Bureau. I did send this to Rich to review as well. A couple of changes that I did ask to have done. The older bylaws asked that we have 3 members of the legislature be a part of the board, which I thought was a lot, considering your time and how busy you are. So proposing changing that to 2. Remembering that these bylaws are updated every 5 years, there's some language was changed that the paragraph down under the agreement, the 3rd paragraph, it says, I highlight Human Services Committee, it used to say Health and Human Services Committee, so clearly that was old. The only major other changes we did on page 3 says board shall meet regular meeting during the year. It used to say board shall meet at the Youth Bureau, but we have spread out over the last few years. I've been doing this, that we've been at Camp House, Camp Derby, different places. So I think just having it said Youth Bureau should change. Other than that, there's this language as to what the city will pay the county along the lines of contractual agreement for administrative oversight. And then the combination of listing the skate park and youth center together as they were separate 5 years ago. So minimal changes, mainly, I don't know if Rich has anything, but before it used to say that it was open-ended as to the amount of members we could have, and Rich thought there should be a cap number for quorum reasons. So that was the change that we made.
And what was the number, the total number was restricted to of the entire committee?
Right now, we are at 15. 15 total members of the legislature. I'm sorry, of the Youth Bureau Board. 2 legislators, 1 city council member, the other member is 12 will be at large. And that includes currently, we have 4 youth that make up our board of those.
Do you know if the chairman of this committee is, is the chairman automatically on the committee?
The chairman, no, the committee is appointed by Chairman Weatherup as to how he would like to go about doing it.
So
you have been, but before that, and I think the previous one, but.
And Jim Karasik has been attending those meetings as well?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
I would just note that Brian indicated there's a problem getting quorum with a larger number as well, if I'm not mistaken.
At least the last couple of years through COVID, it's been a challenge. We've always made it. We've never had a meeting where we've had that difficulty, but it has been a challenge with mainly, I want to say a lot of this was COVID, but.
So are the legislators voting members?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew that, but did they remain?
Yes.
Because if you cut that down, then you'd have an easier form. Okay, if there are no other questions then, or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, HS3 is a resolution declaring the intent of the Oswego County, of Oswego County to act as the lead agency for Camp Hollis Ready project. I'll look for a motion to discuss. We got a first and second. And tell us a little bit about, just remind people of this actual project, and then it's pretty straightforward that.
So this is a ready project, state funding to repair the bluff that has been eroding in through the high waters on Lake Ontario. The state has awarded funding for us to go and repair the bluff. To do so, we have Fire Department of Judas to oversee the project, and then being lead agency working with us, this would be for the seeker agreement, which is necessary to proceed with the project going forward.
Any questions? Go ahead.
What's the cost of that?
It's $500,000, it's about $500,000. This is all state money.
How long ago do we got that grant?
We got it in 2019, and then COVID hit. And as Rich could probably explain to you, we had to put things on hold. And then with along that, he had some additional title work he had to do at Camp Hollis, which delayed things. I think it's worked to our benefit in the long run, because some of these ready projects have already been done. And there's a mass scramble as to who is going to do the work and oversee things. And now Martin LaJudas is overseeing about it. They've done 10 projects, so they're very familiar with doing so. And then the options of contractors that can be used are more freed up now, as opposed to 2 years ago. They were all working on the same projects, and now it seems to be cleared again. My understanding.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
There's also a state parks project involving Camp House, separate from this, but the title work, the legislators that weren't here, we found out that part of the camp was still owned by the Health Association back in the 50s. You know, we had to, since they were defunct, we had to sue and quiet title to get that portion of the camp in the county's name.
And that's rectified.
That's all rectified, there's a court judgment, there's a deed, it's all set.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution HS4 is a resolution declaring the intent of the Oswego County to act as a lead agency for the Independence Trail Ready project.
So similar to what was happening with Camp Hollis, Independence Park Trail is next to Site Underkeys, if anybody's not familiar with that, in eastern Scriba, New York. And again, the high waters has caused some problems for the property that we own is into the county and the adjoining properties along the line next to our neighbors. This project was designed again with the assistance of Martin LaJudas, who again will serve as the engineers for the project to establish the seeker so that the work can be moving forward on Independence Trail.
So just for the new legislators, this is not part of Camp Hollis, but this falls under the recreation side of things in your department, correct?
Correct.
There's a map that shows the property. Are there other properties in the county that fall under the recreation
There are.
besides the two camps?
We have Camp Zerby up in Williamstown in Camp House, then we have Independence Park Trail, and we have Independence Park Trail and the trail.
Oh, yeah, and then we oversee too the rail trail from Fulton out to Stancho. If there are any inquiries about that or any complaints coming in about trail maintenance, we do take those. The highway does a lot of maintenance on that, but we do take inquiries on that property.
Okay, I'll look for motion on this resolution. I think I did it right?
Second.
Okay, so you can see the map in the packet, and then there's so this is right on Lake Ontario, and with all the high water, there was a lot of damage. So there's a couple projects going on in this particular park area, Independence Park. One of them has to do with alleviating an invasive insect species that's in the spruce trees. Is it the
That is not a part of this grant, but that's
It's not part of this.
Independence Trail.
It's a separate project that's ongoing there.
So there's an invasive bog, if you will, in the hemlock trees that's become prevalent in our county, and one of the spots that's really bad is the Independence Park. So that's a separate project, but with this grant, The two focuses are on a trail near the lake shore that has been washed out because of the high water levels in the last few years. So that'll be creating a raised boardwalk that reconnects those trails and kind of reestablishes that part of the property. And then the other part, there's a stream that flows out to the lake that has become eroded on the neighbors' properties and gets built up with sediment and rocks and stuff. So it'll be just creating an easier access point to the outfall of that stream, so we can dredge it, or we can, get all the stones out there to prevent buildup and future erosion for the neighbors' property. So those are the two parts of that project.
Any questions about, this is another Ready grant. What did Ready stand for again? It was, does anybody remember?
Resiliency and Economic Development Initiative, I think. Mr. Chairman, I'd also point out that the county acquired these lands from SIDE, and SIDE has a management agreement with the county and has granted approval to this project, but it has certain control or say over the property. They need it, I believe, for the permitting. So they've retained certain rights on the county's property, but we've crossed that bridge with SIDE previously.
Go ahead.
What was the budget total on this one?
400,000.
400,000?
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. All right. And the county owns quite a few properties throughout the county, if you're not aware. And that's why I asked if there were others because I hadn't heard about that one, the trail there out of Fulton. But that's under your jurisdiction as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit more different. It's different because, like as Zach said, it's kind of a nature trail, and people use it along the lines. And for us to manage it, we rely a lot on word of mouth of people giving us updates as to things that need to be done, and then we talk, like you said, with highway or whomever to clear out trees that are down or things to that matter. But it is used pretty frequently by cross country teams and things like that for trainings and just nature walks, etc. So it's a nice thing to have. It's just a little different than the other ones, which are park areas.
And the other properties that the county owns, they're managed mostly by soil and water conservation.
There's about 3,000 acres
3,000.
of reforestation, roughly. Memory serves me. Don't quote me on that.
Why?
Well, Camp Zerby is like 540 acres, and probably if we develop that somewhat, there'll be probably some trails up there that fall into this walk trails, recreational trails also. We haven't got them there now, but
You're gonna hear about that in about 10 minutes.
huh?
You're gonna hear about that.
That's also.
It's a nice property, Camp Zerby. It's on 104, right?
That's right.
Just outside of, is it still in
Just
Williamstown or is it
13.
in Amboy?
South 13, about 3 miles.
South 13. Yeah, I've cross-country skied there a few years ago. Okay, so we did pass that resolution, so we're on to departments updates, and I don't believe we have anybody here from veterans to do an update, so.
He's in the back.
Sir.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see you come in.
Yeah.
So why don't you introduce yourself, Matisse, and stand where you can drop your mask and speak up loud.
So my name is Matias Garcia. I've been the county director for now last 6-7 months now. I know we've been bogged down a little bit here at our office, but I am playing catch up. I'm trying to do as much as I can as possible with what I have. We had some issues prior, but I took care of those, and I'm slowly updating everybody on what's occurring. I know we've had, this was emailed to me about new prior updates that could be happening to the county. The Joseph Dwyer peer-to-peer veteran support program, the local support for local veteran service agencies, and also this combination of the Fresh Connects that's with the state program. I've been working closely with Onondaga County with their state department out there, their veteran program. They've been helping us at the office as well. working with other counties to make sure we can assist everybody here in Oswego County and other neighboring counties as well. So again, we're jumping along still. So.
Anybody have any questions for these? All right, thank you. We'll move on to you, Brian.
All right, so for Youth Bureau, mainly I have brought staff with me here today for a couple of reasons, because I wanted to have them give you an update on some things that are happening with Parks and Recreation as we move forward into 2022 and slow momentum to reestablish a lot of the activities and opportunities that we provide for young people, as well as having a conversation with Legislator Yurden on some requests for some information regarding Camp Derby. Zach has prepared some information that I think he's going to want to share with you guys today, and he has a handout, which I can hand out while he's talking.
Let's work up here. So we'll start with Camp Derby. About a month or so.
When you started with the mask on?
I'm sorry. So about a month ago, I was approached by a resident in the Williamstown area, actually a former Parks and Rec person, who has a shared vision with me, and she wanted to see development out at Camp Derby. We have a pretty well-established program at Camp Hollis, but really just started to dabble in the potential out of Derby. Last year, we did a one-week summer camp, which filled up and was very successful. But we want to do so much more because there is so much more we can do out there. It's a beautiful property. You mentioned 48 acres. We just kind of really barely tap into its potential. So in working with her, she wanted to come on as a volunteer and do some outdoor education type stuff, more family events and programming out there. She wanted to do it as a volunteer, but I told her about our AmeriCorps program, so she's actually joining us through AmeriCorps. She's starting this week, this Thursday, and things to look out for before summer starts. Again, it's once or twice a month doing some family programming out there, so a specific night, whether it be first, second weekend of the month, we'll do something special out there. Working with school districts in that area to bring in groups for field trips and outdoor education. We do have a 4-week summer camp lined up, so we're going to be doing 4 weeks of summer programming in the month of July. Again, that's going to go off of the success we had last year of 1 week. So we're looking for that to registration for that program to start March 1st. When I met with her recently, we were already talking themes and ideas and how that's going to work. So the ball's definitely rolling there. We were approached about project proposals, talking about potential for ARPA funding. What are some things we can do out there at Derby, knowing that bigger projects require grants and funding. And Brian just passed out the proposals, and I'm not going to read through them all, but I'll tell you what they are, and then if you have any questions, you let me know. But a bathhouse. So we do have an existing bathhouse there. It's pretty old, and it's not really centrally located. A lot of our rentals are through our lodge, a lot of weddings and stuff. But the bathhouse is 80 to 100 yards. Beyond that, there's no really great way to get there. So moving a bathhouse that's more centrally located to that facility, and also with potential for showers so we can accommodate overnights, because right now we don't have any overnight lodging. Which brings me to project 2. There is a building on the facility that used to be a cabin that provided lodging, but it's since fallen into disrepair. It's kind of just a maintenance shed now, but bringing that back to life so we can have accommodations for rental groups. That's one of the main things I get is, is there any place to stay? Where can I stay? And there really isn't, so it's kind of up to people to tent camp or seek going elsewhere if they want to spend the night. So project 2 is possibly renovating that or bringing in new cabins, building new. One of the third project is what Legislator Yurden was just talking about was trail upgrades. We got 548 acres and maybe a quarter of that is usable space right now. One of the greatest draws to Camp Derby is Lake Lorraine, and we have a trail that somewhat goes around it, but potentially making that a loop trail. And I know in the past that when that was being explored, there's a protected species there, some bog turtle. So there's some DEC issues that might come in with that, but also just developing the trail system. You can see on there the green trails are what we have, and potential for so much more there. Because a lot of people come to hike, they come to ski, they come to snowshoe. So there's a lot more potential there with that property. And then the fourth one being creating camping sites, like actual traditional campsites, fire pits, picnic tables. So we could put those around the lake, and it wouldn't require much, just clearing out the existing trees in that area. And then the final one, pipe dream would be the winterization of that lodge. Again, the biggest draw that we have is weddings, and I'm constantly getting phone calls about, hey, is the lodge available? Can I have a wedding out there in the winter? Can I have an event out there? It's like, yeah, sorry, we're just seasonal because it's not winterized. And I know that when the lodge was recently restored a few years ago, there was some historic maybe protections on that where we might not be able to do that, but if we could, it would definitely be a draw, and there's definitely the interest. It's noted in here that Camp Zerby does get more rental requests than Camp House does, so people definitely want to come, and there's so much more we can do there. And if you look, there's estimated costs. These are just based on other grants we've received and similar type of projects out there, but knowing that, with assistance from our buildings and grounds, highway, internal departments, that could change. So if it was something that we wanted to pursue, we could definitely get, more project details and more costs from the Indian Highway. That's Zerby. Over in the Hollishead, I know January is freezing out, so it's hard to think summer camp, but we did open our registration for summer camp on January 1st, and we're pretty close to 100 registrations so far. And that might not seem like a lot, but typically in the years past, people don't really start thinking about registration for camp until spring break time. So the fact that we're at 100 is great, and the fact that a good chunk of those are overnight camp is even better because we haven't had that in close to 3 years now. So the fact that the need's still there, people are still looking to register is important. So we're looking to go full steam with the overnight unless we're told by someone that we can't along the way, but hopefully that comes back this year after a 2-year hiatus. And finally, also hiring. I do that early. I like to bring back returning staff and kind of get first dibs, if you will. I kind of worked through that already. So if there's anybody in your district or anybody you know who would be a good candidate that might want to work at residential summer camp, you can fill out the application online or just reach out to me for more information. But yeah, we've got good things happening this year at both properties and looking forward to it.
So camps being plural, because Zerby will also be hiring staff.
Correct, yes. And then the Zerby program, we're going to be looking to fill that through the AmeriCorps. So myself, Chris Metz of that department, who gives more detail of how the payment and how the structure of AmeriCorps works.
So with the numbers we provided to you as access, some of them are work in project, but some of the numbers that we have are based on previous grants or such that we've written where we had gotten estimates, or we have B&G looking into some costs right now as to what things will be to go forward. So we are putting together numbers for it, but as for right now, we wanted to provide a wish list of what we're looking at for potential improvements along the line. And these are some things that we hope could be considered somewhere down for us moving forward. Parks and Recreation, we are working with about 20 municipalities in 2022. We've already contracted with them. We're in the process of doing so. So we are expecting to have a full summer. Our AmeriCorps program is up and running. In a positive note, this year the living allowance is $2,823. What's important about that is with ARPA funding that was given to our AmeriCorps program, it's about $450 more than last year. So that with the educational award of $1,342, that totals about $4,165 for being an AmeriCorps member. In a lot of our summer programs, whether it's camps that we run or camps that municipal programs run, they depend upon programs like AmeriCorps. So we are busy along doing that, moving along. So we've been we've finally gotten back into the schools more or less. So I have staffing in the Oswego City School District and new programming happening. So we are seeing some things turning back to normal, which is keeping people busy within the office.
Questions for Brian?
And one last handout I'll give you, but somebody can talk as I'm doing that. As you're thinking along the lines, February, there's a snowman building contest coming out. So if you want to do that, the city of Oswego will be having that out as passing as long as we're moving forward.
Thank you, Brian. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, at the after the page that had the map of Independence Park is a report from Stacy and Social Services. So in case they want to refer to that, but go ahead, you can start your update.
me. So, it was a busy start to 22 at DSS. As my report indicates, we were down 37, had 37 vacancies ending the year, and unfortunately, we've seen quite a bit of resignations come our way in January, particularly again in our caseworkers, and in fact we had 2 senior caseworkers. We never seem to lose them, but both of them 30-year employees and went on to other jobs. So, we also had a resignation of one of our 4 attorneys, seated attorneys. We asked for a 5th, which the legislators provided us funding for this year. We can't bring 2 on at once. We'll be looking for 1. We have been recruiting for that for almost 6 weeks now, and we've only received 1 resume, and that was not viable. Lives in a different country, has never practiced in New York, which New York is very unique, or family court law, so it wasn't viable, but it's worrisome. Our caseloads are up significantly with court activity. We had 36 adoptions last year, termination of parental rights. Those are very lengthy trials, lots of paperwork, so we're really scrambling. Court petitions, filing of petitions, removals, all of those were up last year as opposed to 2020. Adult and Family Services. So we're seeing some pretty significant costs go up in foster care. And the one thing that's very clear to all of us in the child welfare arena is that the way to reduce costs for our county is to keep kids either in Oswego County in kinship or foster home, or not remove them to begin with, and have a more robust response into the home in order to keep kids in place and keep them safe. We don't have a real robust preventive services network built here. Some of that is funding, and as the folks who have been with me for the last couple of years now, there was probably the biggest federal legislation ever in 2018, which was the Family First Protective Services or Prevention Services Act, FIPSA. And that's going to provide 50% costs on prevention. Right now it only covers foster care, 40 months. So we are maneuvering to try and get ourselves in a place where we can bring in more of that federal money for more services to wrap around families in the community, so that we have other options than to just remove a kid in order to keep them safe. You know, I did put a few pieces in here about what's going on now because of the pandemic. They're telling us we can do virtual with families who have been reported for maltreatment. Frankly, I've never felt comfortable with that. You only know what you know. You need to go into the home. We have continued to visit homes throughout the pandemic. And the same with our financial assistance. The state has waived face-to-face. And we continue wherever we can within statute to bring people into the office to meet with us. Again, trying to engage them, get them connected to the job market, and move them along off of financial assistance. And we've done a pretty good job of that. Safety net is childless couples and singles, and we have last year had a monthly case average, active cases per month of 603 cases per month. and in 2020, and that was down this past year, 2021, to 519. And keep in mind, back in 2017, that figure was 749. So over the past 4 years, we've continued to put strategies in place that continue to decrease the number of singles and childless couples there. CPAC, Child Protective Advisory Council, is legislators had passed a resolution to form CPAC. I am sorry to tell you that the last 2 years we really have not been active. Something got in the way, the pandemic. Mostly there was a lot of schools involved in there, and schools were pretty over the edge. So we are back up and active. Next month I'll be putting in a full slate of, it's a minimum of 15 members, and so I think we have 18 right now. So we're finalizing that, and our chair, Jerry Gettner from Fulton City School District, is putting some final touches on that. It wasn't ready for this month's committee meeting, but it will be for next month. And then we'll have our first meeting in 2022 in February. So I'm really pleased to get that started back up again. Our foster care rates. I was very dismayed by the state budget, the executive governor's budget proposal. There was a lawsuit that was filed about 11 years ago. It finally settled, and what it means is every county across New York will have to pay the state's maximum rate for foster care. We already pay the maximum rates for residential facilities and voluntary foster homes, but not our own county foster homes. And so if that state mandate goes through, it's going to be pretty significant impact on foster care expenses. We are working on trying to project what those numbers will be, and hoping to have that for Phil before Thursday's F&P. But potentially it'll be in the hundreds of thousands. So it's not going to be an easy lift for us.
Stacy, is there a cap for the county on foster? No.
No, there's a cap for how much the state chips in, the foster care block grant. They do not intend to increase that. And the other thing affected by this is our adoption subsidies. So I will do up, our fiscal folks will be doing up more projections on that as we get more clarity from the state. That is supposed to be plugging in July of this year, and then they'll give us 2 years to phase in those increases. So we would take another hit July of 2023 before we actually see a stabilization. And keep in mind, we just had an increase this past year of rates. And that was, we still haven't gotten our arms around what exactly, because it was retro. So what our claim was and what they paid us, we've got to wait a few months to see how that stabilizes out. But the state continues with social services to find ways to shift costs locally. There's no doubt, and it's because they don't want children placed. That is the bottom line. But as you know, I'm sure experienced that there are family situations where kids just can't be left there. It's just not safe. So that's exactly why CPAC, why the legislators in 2010 rose up and said we need CPAC because of a fatality, a child fatality. I did include the foster care monthly summary report there. We have 194 kids in care as of the end of December. The vast majority are in foster homes, but we are seeing increasing numbers of youth who need the residential facilities. Those are very high cost. And we were able, I've been in child welfare a long time. I remember the days where Office of Mental Health, back when it was Office of Mental Retardation and Developmental Disabilities, now called Office of People with Disabling, OPWDD, People with Developmental Disabilities. And they have gotten out of placing kids. They are closing facilities left and right, and they are just leaving it up to us with some very complex cases. So what we're seeing across the state, and it's become a huge issue for my network that is made up of commissioners from across the state, what we're calling children with complex needs, very often co-occurring, they're developmentally disabled, they have significant trauma in their background, so mental health issues, and these are pretty volatile, violent children that aren't safe to be in a foster home. So those are, we have one child right now out of state because we could not find one single placement in New York State to take that child. We've closed so many. Those kinds of real complex care is something I think the state is starting to pay attention to because we've been screaming real loud the last couple of years. And you can see on this report, institutional residential care, we have 18 in there right now. Typically, historically, that's been a single digit, 8, 9, and now we're up to 18 because, again, the state pushing away from the table when it comes to these complex kids. Another thing in the budget is kids who are placed from school districts on committee for special ed, things like School for the Blind, School for the Deaf, and other kids with emotional disturbances placed out of school districts. DSS has no say in that except to pay the bill. The state used to have a state share in that, no more. Again, pushed away from the table, and now it's up to just the school districts and counties to pay that bill. Wish I had better news for you when it came to all that. These are just highlights I give you. There's lots more. If you want to ever get deep in the weeds with me on details, just give me a call. I'm happy to meet with you, to send you more reports. Okay, financial assistance. So we have lots of housing money coming in. So there's some good news. And we're seeing decreasing numbers of people on financial assistance. Increasing numbers for SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, and a high demand for heat. But overall, people who come in, we can typically right now fast track to jobs because it's really a job seekers market right now. Homelessness, though, as I said, we've got a lot of money coming through to prevent evictions. The eviction moratorium did lift January 15th. We did not see this huge influx of people at our doors, so that's good news. And we do have monies to serve that population. You can see our homeless 2021 data. This comes from Homeless Management Information System. It's a federal information system that all homeless providers feed data into. And you can see that the total numbers served that were homeless, 658. Many people are surprised when they see how high that number is for people who are homeless. I think it's not only an issue about people's situations mental health issues, STDs, substance use disorder, but also what is happening with housing in Oswego County. There's not a lot of rental units that are ready and available that way. I think landlords are going to come out of this pretty gun shy after a moratorium that lasted so long, as far as renting to our folks. The other thing in your packet that I really want to draw your attention to, when I said the way we really have to reduce some costs here for the county is to come up with strategies on, number one, capitalizing on the federal 4E funding, and number two, having a much more robust preventive system. And this is kind of what we put in a graph form, what we've been really building on for the last 2 years. You'll notice that much of this is targeted to addiction issues. That is the number one cause right now of placing children out of homes with grandmas and aunties in foster homes. It is becoming more and more, and with that federal 4E money I told you about that we might be able to grab for preventive services, all of it is the big term, evidence-based. So some research got done, it went through the feds put it on this clearinghouse. If you're ever interested in my world and you want to look at that clearinghouse, it's quite interesting, but it's also very targeted for bigger national models. Your programs that are smaller in county or in a state is not going to cut it with these evidence-based models that they're putting up to allow us for that 4E money. So it's tricky. And if I sound hesitant explaining, I don't want to oversimplify it, which I just did. It's a lot more complex, but we've got to position ourselves to begin pulling that money in, or else we're going to start losing money in a few years, and it's going to be even a higher cost of local share. So these are all program models. START, Sobriety, Treatment, and Recovery teams is what we're just getting involved in. Marty is taking a huge piece of that to coordinate START, and that's targeted at our youngest kids. Under 5, under 3?
5 and under.
5 and under. The Better for Families is a court improvement project. It's what the State Office of Court Administration calls. And that is actually kicked off for a soft launch. This is really an initiative really being promoted and pushed by our 2 family court judges, Judge Benedetto and Judge Nelson. And right now, I am really trying to find monies and federal monies in our Flexible Fund for Family Services, FFS, to pay for that. I'm doing whatever I can to find monies for these projects that don't have a local share, but ultimately I guarantee I'll be coming to you for some local share money this year on these programs. But stay tuned. I'll give you a total justification and cost breakdown, and then it'll be up to you. Is that worth the investment or not? You'll have to make that decision. Any questions for me? Anything else? If ever there's a kind of a burning topic you'd like me to focus on, please send me a quick email. I know people are often interested in our fraud activities. People are sometimes interested in our child support activities. I'm happy to bring our directors in
and get a little focused on a particular program we run and give you a better overview in one of our meetings. I also reached out to you in a welcome email. If you'd like an orientation, if you'd like me to set something up to kind of go through all our different programs, happy to do that. So, okay,
What's
right?
up? Any other questions? Thank you, Stacy.
Mhm.
Okay, Sarah, you have the floor.
The first item I had is we made recommendations for appointments to our advisory council. So three of them are just reappointments and one is a replacement. Lori Ann Miller is a replacement from social services for Lee Ann Garlock.
So Phil, these are appointed by the chairman. Should we pass a resolution just to move them to him as a recommendation, or?
They're appointed in the committee for human services.
They are
committee.
appointed in committee?
Yes, I just looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions about the recommendations? They're on the very last page of the packet.
And it was for a 3-year term, and we meet 5 times a year. Right now, we're doing it virtually.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, you need a motion in a second, the committee appoints.
Okay. Well, then I'll look for a motion to move these appointments.
I'll make one.
Second. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Do you have
Thank you.
other updates from the Office of the Aging?
I have a couple, and I do
thought
have,
so.
when I get done, I'll pass this out. I did up my 2021, basically Office for the Aging highlights,
Okay.
what we were able to accomplish this past year. But I wanted to let you know that the Fulton Congregate meal site did reopen in December. That was the 5th one that reopened. Again, all of the Congregate sites are social hour, open for social hour, and then they're provided their meal to go. They keep their masks on while they're there. They remain socially distant, and they're very happy to get back in, to get together with each other and talk and have a program and then have their meal and leave. The last site, the Mexico site, will be opening on February 16th. And as part of that, we also provide transportation 1 to 2 days a week to the sites as well. And when they have the transportation day, they can also have shopping, so they can stop at the grocery store or at the pharmacy if they need to pick up a prescription. Our 2021, our meals, our numbers were down, which we were kind of expecting because 2020 was a record-breaking year due to COVID. But we provided 265,988 meals, and that's both home delivered and at the grab and go at the Congregate sites. Just to compare that, in 2020, we provided 288,843 meals. In 2019, it was 243,692. So they were very busy getting the meals out to anybody. The state still says, even though there's guidelines, we do an intake and perform a compass or an assessment of everyone requesting home delivered meals. Anyone who's asking for a meal is still receiving a meal because we have enough funding to cover that cost right now. HEAP, to tag on to what Stacy said, HEAP's been very busy. We've received, the Office for the Aging is an alternate certifier, so anybody who's age 60 or older or who was disabled, their applications can come to our office for our assistance. So we do assist county residents with completing their applications, and then they do get promoted to social services for the final stamp and for the award of the HEAP grant. We've received 420 applications to date, and we have processed all but 9. We have 9 pending right now, and that's because we're looking for additional information for the applicants to provide to us before we can forward them on. If they're incomplete, then the application will be denied, so we make sure that it's complete before we promote it up to social services. In 2021, we had 73 participants in our Santa for Seniors program. In 2020, we had 37, so we flipped those numbers around. We were able to have community partners purchase, whether it was an individual, a family, or an organization, purchase gifts for seniors who don't have any supports and they wouldn't normally get a gift from anyone. So we connected them, we received the gifts, we delivered them to 73 seniors across the county. Also, as part of that, we received 25 meals from Catholic Charities that we were able to get out to seniors for Christmas, and another 9 from Arise that we were able to provide to seniors who needed them during the holidays. We just began our weekend home delivered meals program. We received unmet needs funding late last year, and we looked to see where our unmet needs were, and with the pandemic, we did realize, well, prior to that as well, there is food insecurity for our seniors. We found that seniors that were receiving home delivered meals, they weren't eating their full meal daily. They were saving it so they had food for the weekend. So we're able to isolate a few of those people, and we're now providing them with weekend meals as well so that they can have the 2 meals on Saturday and Sunday. With the funding we received, we have 25 participants right now. That's all that we can cover with the funding if they're to stay on the program for the full year. But we do have a wait list, and if someone drops off the program, we can slip other people into receive those meals as well. Once the unmet needs funding is gone this year, we do have ARPA funds. We'll be able to continue it for the next couple of years. And hopefully by that time, maybe they'll all be warm and happy and maybe give me some more money so we can continue that program in the future. But for the next few years, it is financially covered. Also, as part of that unmet needs money, we sent out a request for proposals for transportation to our social adult day program. We're able to provide social adult day programming for our senior home care participants. The only drawback of that is the social adult day program is in Onondaga County in Baldwinsville. Our transportation that we have here does not go across county lines. So while we had people enrolled in the program, those who could not transport their family members to the program or transport themselves were unable to participate. So that was an unmet need. We now have a contract. This hasn't been fully signed yet or executed, but we will be providing that transportation very shortly. And that's really important because in Oswego County and across the state and across the country, there is a severe lack of aides. So the senior that may have been able to have an aide come in their home to provide personal care or housekeeper chore type services or help prepare a meal, there's no aides to get there. So this is one of the opportunities we had to be able to send seniors to Social Adult Day to get that personal care and get that meal while off-site. We have a save the date for June 16th, which is when we'll be celebrating the longest day. The longest day is an event that we've been participating in the last handful of years to bring attention to those suffering with dementia, dementia-related diseases, Alzheimer's disease, as well as bring attention to the caregivers, because the caregivers, they're important people for people who are suffering from a dementia disease. So on the longest day, we will be on the 16th, we'll be at the Oswego Farmers Market. The Alzheimer's Association is usually there. We go for a walk around the bridges, and really it's just to get together and bring attention to Alzheimer's and the disease, dementia, and any funds that we do collect, we have it go to the local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. We recently received 3,000 COVID-19 test kits from the county. We were able to get them out to all of our home delivered meal recipients, to our senior home care participants, to senior housing, to the CHOOSE program in the village of Phoenix, which goes out to seniors, the senior program at the ARC, as well as to all the town clerks in the county. And we were able to, after a little arm twisting, we were able to give them to all the town clerks throughout the county, because we didn't want any corner of the county to say, I didn't have this as an option to receive a test kit. Or we might not be able to hand deliver them to everyone, and we weren't putting them through the mail because there is a temperature requirement for the cold temperatures we're having here. I didn't feel comfortable potentially having these test kits sit in a postal truck overnight at 6 degrees or 20 degrees below zero, so we weren't mailing any of them. So we did get them out to all 3,000 test kits out. We had a number of people that also came into the office requesting them, and we just got another 360 test kits. So if you do have any seniors that missed any of that initial push that we had, have them get in contact with our office and we will connect them. We do have case managers that are out and about across the county, so we can hand deliver maybe 360 of them, but not 3,000 of them. And we are working right now on 2 requests for proposals. We have a transportation contract right now with for curb-to-curb transportation utilizing call and ride. That will be going out for proposal, as well as our personal emergency response systems that will be going out for request for proposal as well. And so that'll be coming back to committee to decide on in the next couple of months. But that's what I have, besides just trying to keep up with the day-to-day, which some days is easier than others. But this is the our highlights for 2021 of what some of the bigger things that we've been able to accomplish, we're able to do.
Questions for Sarah?
Is there a cost of those?
On the meals? Meals are contribution only, so no one is denied service for inability or unwillingness to contribute. So we do send out a monthly letter with a suggested contribution, but there is not a requirement. And it's $4 a day for 2 meals.
Good job, Sarah.
That's really all that I have.
Any other questions for Sarah? Okay, I'll look for the appropriate motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.